DevOps is not a goal, but a long-term process of continual improvement. And if you also abide by the same, and if you also want to know a lot more about DevOps, you have come to the right place. So hello and welcome. This is Himanshi Kaushik, your host of the day, and I would like to welcome you all in today's webinar on DevOps Success to build your career. And I hope that you all are fine, safe, sound, and happy at wherever you're taking this webinar from. So before we move on and learn a lot more about the technology that is DevOps today, we have our expert here with us. So I shall introduce you to our expert. We have Ms. Priyanka Gupta, an assistant professor, School of Computer Science and Engineering, lovely professional university here with us. She is a dedicated and student-focused teaching professional committed to provide a well-balanced, supportive, and engaging professional environment for all the students. She is a magnetic personality with over 7 years of teaching experience and has done her master's in Internet and Communication Technology from Punjab University. She has attended many online seminars and conferences of repute and also has done multiple workshops also. She is a gold medalist in fencing as well and has her interest in natural language processing, web designing, and DevOps. So, ma'am, it is a pleasure for us to be here, to be able to listen you in the webinar. And over to you, and looking forward for an amazing session.
Thank you so much, Himanshi ma'am, for this introduction. So here it is our webinar on DevOps. So I'll be telling you about DevOps Success to build your career. Because in this, whatever I will be covering will be definitely helpful to you in your career to build as a DevOps engineer. So this is our webinar and DevOps Success to build your career. So firstly, actually, these will be the topics I'll be going to cover in this webinar. What exactly is DevOps and what will be its components? What are the critical success factors why DevOps is in so much demand nowadays in IT department? Case studies, and definitely I'll provide you the roadmap how you can make your career in DevOps. So be with me in this webinar. You will be going to learn a lot about DevOps. So why DevOps actually is, and let me now just tell you that what is DevOps actually in the technology? This will be comes in your mind. So whenever we are knowing about technology, then there are so many terms we listen in between. In that one term is DevOps, or maybe you have heard about DevOps engineers also. So if we heard about DevOps, one thing came in our mind is it a tool or a software that I need to install and learn it to be an DevOps engineer? Or it is a concept under programming. So these questions might come in your mind when we have heard about DevOps. So let me summarize initially that DevOps is a process or a concept in software development in any company, how a product is made and reached to the user. To do all this, the way or the approach is DevOps. So DevOps is a broad term, and so many people gives us a definition in different ways. But I'll try by the end of this session, meaning of DevOps will be definitely clear to you. So if I talk about DevOps in whenever we talk about any product development or the release of application process, then in that case there are two major departments in any company. We all know about it. First is the development department, another one is the operations department. Now DevOps is the intersection between this development and the operations department. Though these two departments are dealing with technology, but their work is different. In development department, so here we can say they both are dealing with the technology. If I'm talking about development as well as operations. So if I talk about particularly development department, as the name is development, right? So their actually work is to design a product, then code and develop finally. And in order to judge their performance, we see how many changes that they made, how many new features that they developed, how many older bugs that they can fix. That will be the work of development department. And on the other hand, in operations department, their basic work is to manage the servers or check our security, whether they are scaling and backup are properly in our system or not. So their performance is checked by how much our system is stable and how much available our system is, right? And if operations team found any issues in this, then what they do, they send a feedback loop to the development department, right? So definitely there should be a collaboration between both the departments, right? For example, let us say I am making a product, right? Before launching into a market, for example, if Apple has want to launch a new mobile phone, right? So they actually made it with all the new features. Then before launching into the market, they are just testing it, right? And after the launch in the market for another 1 week also, they will be testing into it, whether the product is well suitable. Will it be according to the requirements of the normal people, what they want as the features in that mobile phone? So there should be a collaboration between development as well as operations team. So operations team will tell if there will be some changes required. Then development team will again work on it, and then they will be making the changes into it. Okay. So in any company, for a project to be run efficiently, the important thing is that our development and operations department should collaborate efficiently. Usually in small scale companies or startups, there is a single team taking care of development and operations both. In fact, when we are doing development, whether it's application development, web development, or any other developments now, then we might have noticed that when we are making a single project or a project is in a group, then usually everyone is taking care of everything, right? If we are working in a team, then one team member has done his work. He handed over to his TL. Another team member has done his work, giving it to. So everything in a team will be in a collaboration or in a sync, right? But when we are talking about big MNC companies in which the size of tech team is big, like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and in terms of startups like Paytm, PhonePe, Zomato, in that we need to separate the work of teams in big companies. So in big MNC companies, these two departments will be doing the work, operations as well as the development team. And now let us consider one scenario. In development team, they develop a new feature in a product and push those changes in GitHub. And all those changes will push from GitHub to the server. Now, server development team comes to know that there are some issues, and due to that, the code is not running. Right? Now, development team has done their work and they have given it to the operations team. But the code which DevOps team has given to operations team sometimes don't work on the operations team's system, right? So they can't communicate well with this problem. The code will not run in the operations team's system. And development team is saying, in our machine, the code was running perfectly. It is fine. So there is a problem of the server. But operations team are saying servers are working properly. There might be a problem in development part. So these sort of issues come not only once, but so many times occurring in the companies. Then to reduce or vanish these issues, there comes the concept of DevOps. So DevOps is a recent process which makes less hectic to our release process. So over here in this figure, can you see that developer has done his work perfect? He has given that code for testing to the operations team. Now that same code is not working on the operations team. They both are checking. Developer is saying code is working on my system, but operations team, they are saying code doesn't work on my system, but if they are using DevOps model, both are working on this DevOps model, so both can work on that code perfectly fine. So this is the concept of DevOps. So DevOps has so many major benefits. If I talk about productivity, that will get increased due to DevOps, because now there will not be an issue in the operations team. They can work it, they can test it perfectly fine. And if I talk about in terms of speed has been increased, because now the work is all done with a very short span of time. Collaboration definitely increased because there is now a great collaboration between the production team, development team, as well as the operations team. Now, if I talk about load, that got reduced. This is a major benefit of DevOps. Load reduced how? Because let us say we are working on a project, like you guys are also working in your school projects or in your college projects, right? So might be you people are having a team of 7-8 members, right? You divided your project into 7-8 members. One is saying, let us say, Ankush is saying, okay, I'm doing my work. Now I can send you on my mail. Take my project from there, right? Santosh is saying, I have also done my work. It is in my mail. Take it from the mail, right? But here there is a problem. Like whenever we are taking the different parts of the project from everyone's mail, so whenever one person has sent it on mail, now when he wants to make some changes, then later on, again, he will have to send the mail. So this will be, a big load on a single person, combining all the codes and then combining all the updations also. And over here also there is a drawback of the file size. If the file size is big in mail, up to 25 MB is allowed only, right? So load has been reduced by DevOps. Quality of product, definitely it has been increased, right? So overall business of any company is improved now, because now we are shipping very good quality products with more speed and velocity. Most of the companies, the shopping websites, if I talk about Amazon or Ajio or Myntra, any other shopping sites, they are using the concept of DevOps to maintain the logs, histories of their customers, and all other data. right? So their productivity in terms of business has been increased as they are now working on DevOps. Now to implement all these, DevOps engineers are using a lot of tools and technologies. For example, if I talk about version control tool, it is GitHub. Then Linux is there. Kubernetes is there. Docker is there. Then they are using the Ansible, Jenkins also, and many more tools which are included in this process. Now to summarize, DevOps is better explained in this diagram. So these are the DevOps tools. So I'll explain this diagram, which is actually in the form of infinity sign. Can you see over here? There is an infinity sign, right? So which is a mix of, you can see development as well as the operations team. Now it's a continuous cycle which actually DevOps forms. So let me now just explain this infinity cycle. Start of this stage is the first one is planning over here. In planning, plan what to build in this product. All these are the part of development. Then after planning, because whenever we want to make any project, firstly we will plan, right? Once our plan is ready, we will move into the code. Then according to that plan, product is code. And then we just build it, means we are compiling that code now to get our desired output. Then test, then run some test on that product. We will see, okay, if the product which I made, is it giving me that desired output, whatever was required? So we need to test that. After that, whenever I'm sure that yes, now product is all perfect, then I'll release that product, right? And then we need to deploy that on server. So this process of release and deploy is actually the continuous deployment, we can say. The word is CD, continuous deployment, which is the combination of a release as well as deployment of your code into the server. After deployment, we then operate, and finally operations team monitor that product. Is it free from all the bugs? Is it perfectly fine? If they want anything from here now, they will be looping back to the development team. They will be sending a feedback to the development team, right? That's why it is in this infinity sign, right? Development team done their work. They have sent it to operations team. Operations team, if found anything to be changed, they just loop back to the development team, right? So any changes or feedback sent back to the development team, which creates a feedback loop. I hope this thing is there. So this I have explained it through this. So development teams work is planning, coding, building, and testing. Then they are just releasing, deploying, operate, and then monitor is by the operations team. This is actually the work of the collaboration of DevOps. Dev is development, Op is operations. So two different teams have been collaborated for the efficiency and for the better productivity of a product, better release of that product. So two teams have been combined nowadays in IT company as DevOps. Now let me just tell you that this is the collaboration which are required between the two teams, Dev and Ops, development as well as operations team. So it was initially wall of confusion between development and operations team related to the code that development team is saying it's perfectly fine on me, on my system, why it is not working on your system. So they actually now create a repository. The traditional thing, they are putting it on cloud. So from cloud, that will be accessible to development team as well as the operations team. Now, as we all know, software moves faster today. Technology is changing day by day. So we need to meet for that. Earlier, what we were doing, we were writing the code and then waiting for the reply. Then we were building the code and again waiting for the reply of operations team. deploy to test, again wait, then deploy to product, again wait. So it was taking so much of the time. That's why I told you time will be saved when two teams have been collaborated in a single concept, that is DevOps. So we needed new tools to compete with the technology nowadays. So it can be self-service, it can be technology-based, it can encourage best practice, and it can have single-purpose services. Now, very important for you to know the DevOps roadmap. As we all know that DevOps engineers are highly paid nowadays. So I'll be telling you that thing. This I will be telling you for this year, 2023. And whatever the skills are required for a DevOps engineer, that also I'll tell you. So top 5 skills which I'll be going to tell is, firstly, please look into this, that highest paying technology jobs for this year. So you can see at the top is DevOps engineer. So it is in your US dollars. So DevOps engineers, the demand is in India as well as outside our country also. There are some certifications if you do that in DevOps. So definitely there will be a job surety for you, right? And you can see the others also over here. Now, what will be the skills that are required to become a DevOps engineer? First over here is cloud computing, right? So knowledge of cloud platforms like AWS, Azure by Microsoft, and GCP. Actually, there are 3 cloud services, service providers. One is Amazon. They provide the cloud service as Amazon Web Service. We call it as AWS. Second cloud service is provided by Microsoft, which is named as Azure. Third service is provided by Google, that is a GCP, Google Service Provider. So you can use any of these cloud computings. And along with it, you need the containerization tools like Docker and Kubernetes. So this is very important for any DevOps engineer to know about cloud computing and containerization tools. Next skill which is required is automation. Now, automating a software delivery process is a crucial task of DevOps. So knowledge of the scripting languages like Python, Ruby, Go is very important for the DevOps engineers. So these are the scripting languages used for automation. Then we have CI/CD. As I told you, continuous integration and continuous development is the process of DevOps, development as well as the operations team, right? So a DevOps engineer actually needs to know how to set up and manage CI/CD pipelines using the tools like Jenkins, Circle CI, and GitLab. So these are the CI/CD tools you need to work as a DevOps engineer. Next is infrastructure as code. We call it as IAC. This is another skill required. A DevOps engineer should have the ability to write the code and automate infrastructure provisioning and configuration using the tools like Ansible and Terraform. So these are required. Last but not the least is monitoring. So DevOps engineer needs to have strong skills in monitoring and metric using the tools like Prometheus, Grafana, and Nagios to track the performance of your applications and systems. So these are the skills required for any DevOps engineers. As we all know, they are highly paid this time in the IT sector, DevOps engineers. Then what will be the role of DevOps engineers? There are so many roles and responsibilities a DevOps engineer should have. I have summarized all these. You can see in this picture. You should have a knowledge of cloud computing, then some orchestration tools like Docker and Kubernetes. Then you should have the programming languages like Ruby, Java, Python, and system administration, like you should work on either Windows or Linux also. So these are the tasks, salaries, skills. I've already explained you background. You should have a BTech degree. I'm in bachelor's degree in CSE, which is required for DevOps engineers. So in further DevOps, as a DevOps engineer, there will be some different roles also. Maybe you are into the automation, right? Maybe you are into the security engineer. Nowadays, now one term is very important, DevSec. Dev means development, sec means security. Now, security also comes with this DevOps now, right? Then we have software developer or tester. So DevOps engineer will be a software developer also. They can be quality assurance and they can be code release manager. Now, I'll just want to show a few sample JD. JD actually is the job description. Whenever a company is putting any vacancy or any requirements, they will provide a JD. What they want as a skills from the candidates and whatever will be the role they will be offering. So here you can see over here, a few things have been written, like which I have told you the tools you should know. So basics of DevOps, then continuous delivery and continuous management and continuous development, CI/CD. Then you should have the scripting languages like Python, Ruby, Go, which I've already told you. Then containerization tools like Docker, right? Few tools are Chef or Puppet. Jenkins is there, Bamboo is there. So you need to, know about these tools also to be a DevOps engineer. So here is the another JD. CI/CD tools you need to know. Git, you need to know Jenkins, Maven, Kubernetes. So all these are required skills in the JDs of some companies, job descriptions. Now let me move to the hands-on session. So that will be on Git. Git actually is a version control. So let me now explain in a basic example. As I told you, if you are making any project, for that you are collecting some images and process them, and there is a team of 5-6 people. All are doing some their own work, which has been divided. Normally, people make different folders. Like Rohan is making one folder, Akash is making another folder, and so on, all the other persons. Making a zip file and circulating with each other, and then they update the things and then again resend it to each other and going on with this process. Problem will be with the size of the file, because I told you in Gmail also, we have allowed only 25 MB maximum. Now let me introduce to this Git. It is a version control system. It can be either centralized or it can be distributed. So if I talk about version control, what will be the advantages of Git? It will be hectic if we are sharing the files with each other in that traditional manner with zip file or with through mails and all. So work will be unproductive in that case. Let us make a folder online available to all. We call it a word as a repository, and post that project online and make all the changes in that online project so that it will be available for each and every student. So we can push and pull the images related to that project. Git has been owned by Microsoft. Google also has pushed the images on code on GitHub, and Microsoft is saying, no, I will have to use that Git only, which Google is using. It's not a big deal for Microsoft. They can make their own repository like GitHub, but no, they are saying we will have to use the same one. So they owned GitHub. Microsoft now owned GitHub. So they are pushing their code into this GitHub as a repository. Now, instead of downloading your complete code with the Git, it will only push or pull the images and the changes, which is actually amazing. So now let me just elaborate about the installing of Git software on our AWS, which is our cloud service. So I'll show you that now. Let me open my AWS account, which is Amazon Web Service. So I need to firstly sign into my console. I'll just show you a hands-on session how we can create the instances also. So firstly, I will be signing into my console. So you all can also create it. It will be available as a free tier also. For 1 year, you can use the free tier version as a practice, right? And once you will be making some projects, then you can go for the paid one. Now, here is my console. So over here, it is EC2. So we will be creating our instances in EC2, right? This is like elastic computing. And here the window will come and I'll show you how we can create the instances. Now, if I create on instances, so it will be over here showing whatever the instances I've already created, whether it's a running or stop. So here you can see I've already created one instance, which is a stop state, right? So let me show you a new instance. Let me launch a new instance for you. So I click on launch instance. You can name it. Let me just name it as a Git. So any name you can give over here. Then is you need to select any operating system as AMI, Amazon's machine image. So I'll be working on Ubuntu, the operating system. So here it will be asking for the versions of Ubuntu. So I can use any. So I'm using free tier eligible 20.04 version of Ubuntu. Then let us move to next one. Instance type by default is t2.micro. I'll go with the same one. Over here, we need a key pair because for the security purpose, now we will having a keys. So we will be using that key. So I'll create a new key pair. Let me just show you. Firstly, I will have to give a name for it. Let us say I'm naming it as GitLab. And here is the option RSA. So we will be going with that because it is the encrypted private and public key. Then it will be asking for the extensions PEM and PPK. I will be launching this instance and then I will be executing my commands on an SSH, which is a putty. Putty I'm using. So for that, I will be going for .ppk extension, create a key pair. So here you can see at the bottom, my gitlab.ppk has been installed. Next option in this is network settings. So either you can create your own network setting or I will be going with the this existing one. Then you need to allow all SSH traffic or you need to specify over here some IP address. I will be going with the anywhere, right? So I'm not specifying it to any particular IP address. Then you can configure the storage. By default, it is 8 gigabytes. So that will be fine for me. So what I will be going to do, number of instances at the right hand side, you can see by default, it is 1. If you want to increase, you can increase it to 2, 3, and so on. So I'll be creating only 1. So this is 1. Now click on this right hand side. At the bottom, it is launch instance, orange color button. So I'll click on this launch instance. So now my instance has been created. Whatever the changes I made according to my application, I already made it while launching the instance. So successfully initiated launch of instance. I'll click on it and I move to my EC2 management console. So here you will be seeing my instance, which I have just launched. It is loading actually. It is pending, so it is showing. Just a minute. Okay, now you can see the status has been changed to running. So name of my instance is Git. So I can rename it from here also. There is a pen button around with it. So I can edit the name from here also, right? Now let me just open my SSH because I need to work on that. So I'm just opening my putty configuration. I'm using actually putty configuration for my SSH. So I'm opening that. So any SSH you can use VMware or like that. Now here it is required the host name or the IP address. So as my instance has been selected, I'll just copy this public IP address and paste it over here. Then go to SSH, then authorization. Now here I will have to browse that private key, which I've created while launching the instance. So here you can see all my previous one. GitLab I have just launched right now. So I just use that, open this SSH. It will be firstly asking for the permissions. You will have to go for yes. Then it will be asking for login as I've used the operating system as Ubuntu. So I'll be using Ubuntu. Let me just increase the size for you so that it will be visible. So window appearance, I'm just increasing the size. Today in this session, I'll be installing Git through this AWS instance. Okay, now I hope it is visible. And let us firstly move into it. As I told you, we will be installing Git software on EC2 instance. So firstly, let me move to my root directory. If anyone has worked on Linux, they know how we can move into root directory by sudo su command. So here you can see I'm into my root directory, that is home/Ubuntu, then these hashtag, right? Now let me firstly update our system. For that, the command is sudo apt update. So it is taking some time to update my system. So here you can see it is updating all the files, directories, every repositories in my system. So it is done. Let me clear the screen first with the command clear. Now we will have to install Git, right? So for that, the command is sudo apt install Git. So here you can see this is the command for installing the Git software. So you can see now Git has been installed, right? So can I check the path of the installed software? Yes. For that, the command is which space and then Git keyword. So can you see over here? It is telling me that Git has been installed and user and then bin path. Now, can I check the version of Git? Which version has been installed? So yes, we can use it with the command git space ---- version. So can you see over here which Git version has been installed? For me, it is 2.25.1, right? Now, let me configure my name and email ID into using this Git. So for that, the command is git. For configuring, we use config keyword, then space ---- global. Globally, I want to use it. I want to use my name into it. So that will be user.name. Then space double quotes. I'll provide my name over here in double quotes. So it has been done. Then I want to add my email ID also. So if you know, guys, we can get this command again by the up arrow of our keyboard, right? So I've used that up arrow of my keyboard. So I want to now add my email ID instead of name. So what I can do is user.email. Rest of the command is same, git config space ---- global and then user.email. Now I will have to give my email ID. That is priyanka@gmail.com. So I have given this one. I'll just make a full screen for you so that you can view this command perfectly. So I've given my username as well as I'm giving my email ID. So it is all perfect. Now, how I can see my username and email ID has been added into it or not? So for that, I'll use the command git and then config. Now I will have to list it. So space ---- list. So here you can see it is showing the username is Priyanka and the user's email ID is priyanka@gmail.com. So by this, we have installed our Git software as well as configure it using the AWS EC2 instance. I hope this session is all clear to you guys. And now any questions from your end?
Okay, ma'am, before we go to the question round, I'd like to thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
for this
ma'am.
presentation, of course, and thank you so much for the explanation that you've given. I think it is really appreciated. The way you were
Yes, ma'am.
explaining, it was really calm, and the way you've given this practical view also, I think all the students must have got an idea that how they can actually develop things and learn this particular technology. So I'd like to thank you again, ma'am.
Thank you
So,
so much, ma'am.
yeah, and before we move on to the questions, I'd like to request to all the participants, of course, again, if you have any other question, if you want to have a direct chat session with our expert, you can just maybe raise your hand or type in your question so that we know that you want to have a chat session and we can allow you to talk. And ma'am, we have certain questions now, so can I take
Yes,
them up?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ma'am, this question came from Radha Sharma. And it says, what is GitHub and Git slash?
Okay. GitHub actually is a repository. I told that we require a common repository. We can say a place common, maybe in cloud, so that we can push and pull our changes. It will be available to all the team members that they will be using, right? And Git slash actually is a software like now I have just installed it. GitHub is a repository and Git slash is a software to use that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And ma'am,
Yes.
we have another question. It is
Yes.
very, I think it's very tricky question though. It came from Ishani Hilal, and it says,
Okay.
can we learn different tools of DevOps individually and separately?
Yes, we can learn individually and separately all the tools. Let me now just tell you, if I talk about the monitoring tools, we have Nagios and Ansible, right? So individually tools will be learned definitely, and then we will be using them in a combination in our projects. Like we do make a CI/CD pipeline along with Jenkins, and we can do the containerization using Docker. So we have a list of, popular tools in DevOps are 8 to 10, which we'll be using in all the IT sector for different purposes. For automation, we will be working on Kubernetes and we will be working on Docker. And for monitoring, we will be working on Nagios, we will be working on Ansible. So all these tools definitely be individual one. I'll tell you, if let us say I don't have any knowledge of Git, can I work on Docker? Yes. Definitely. If I don't have any knowledge of Docker, can I learn Nagios? Yes, definitely. Right?
Yeah, so I think they're not correlated. Ishani, you can learn as much as you want, whatever you want, and can gain access to that. And I think, ma'am, this question came from Adish. So with your permission, can I allow him?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sure.
Okay. Adish, now, like we have allowed you to talk. If you may want to have a chat session with our expert, you can have that.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Adish, how are you?
First of all, very thank you for giving this much information about the field.
Thank you.
And ma'am, I would like to know about how can we become a DevOps after computer science engineering? Should we do a certifications for the job?
Okay. Adish, as I told you, if I talk about a DevOps engineer role in any software company, the minimum requirement they want is your graduation, particularly BTech in computer science, right? This is the minimum requirement they want. Secondly, they will be explaining in according to their role in the company, they will be explaining this thing in their job description that you need to work on the scripting languages like Ruby, Go, Python, and you will be working on the popular DevOps tools like Docker is there, Kubernetes is there, right? And as you are asking for certifications. So as I told you, DevOps engineers demand is out of our country also. So few certifications are provided by AWS, right? So if you give that certification, if you do that certification, that will be an add-on to you. Because if let us say I am the applicant, I have did my BTech CSE. I know all the tools about DevOps. I worked on it. I have studied in my BTech course. Along with it, I have done a certification also, which is valid worldwide. And second of my classmate is with me. He has only done the DevOps tools and only done the BTech CSE, not done that certification. So whenever a company will come, they will be taking the process of me and my friend. Definitely, I will get the preference as one thing has been added in my skills. Certifications actually make you at a higher level, because it's not easy for anyone to crack that certificate. Its value is all over the world. That will be add on to you. That I hope, Adish, you got your answer.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Adish, for coming in here and for asking your query. So, ma'am, we have another question that came from Viraha Sharma.
Yes,
And it
ma'am.
says, can we learn these things in a 10th or +2 syllabus as well?
I think so, because that will be just the initial stage. Maybe it depends upon the curriculum, because whatever is in demand DevOps. Because if I see from past 5 years, we were not studied computers like languages, Java and all in the schools when I was in my school. But nowadays, what can I see in schools also in 10th and +1 and +2, students are studying in computers, Java language, C++. So maybe in future, having its demand in IT sector, it will be added in the curriculum of, the students of 10th or 12th. But that will be the basics one, what is DevOps, and the basic tool like Git and maybe Docker. So if it will be added over there, it will be easy for you to, crack this job in your hand, have it in your hand.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And I totally agree. If we start learning things at an early age, maybe in our 10th or +2, then we have
Yes.
a much strong base of that particular technology or tool that we're learning, and hence we can avail or get any of the job that we aspire to. And with this, ma'am, I'd like to thank you for sharing your experience and knowledge with us, with all the participants. And with your permission, now can I take up some admission queries as well?
Yes, ma'am.
So before I go to the admission queries, participants, I have given you 2 links in the chat box. First is the link of our webinar page. So we have different webinars that are already planned. You can explore this particular site and register for it. It is free to register, and you can just learn whatever knowledge you want to gain and whichever topic, because there are multiple topics and multiple domains that are coming in the webinars. And the second link is it is the link for all the parents and the students who might have wanted to talk to us, to talk to our counselors but could not. So this is the link. You simply click on the link and we will be there providing our assistance to you. Now I would like to share my screen just in a moment. Okay, yeah. So here I believe my screen is visible to everyone now. And this is one shot resolution of all the queries that we were getting about admission, that how you can actually take admission. So here it is, this query. LPU.in would be the site which you need to just go on in the browser, and you go to the admissions. So once you go to the admissions, there are a whole lot of segregated programs that are very beautifully adjusted here on the site, right? So you can simply, so for example, we're taking let's say somebody asked this question, that somebody has done BTech and wants to take DevOps now, or somebody who has done his 12th grade and wants to take admission in that particular BTech. So how can one take part in BTech in lovely professional universities? I want to tell you now. So you simply go to this after 12th undergraduate program and regular program. So once you go to the regular program, basically all the domains and the disciplines that are available would be shown. See here, you can see all the disciplines. You name any of the discipline, we have it. Product, industrial design, fashion design, computer science, engineering management, and many others. So since we were talking a lot about computer science and engineering, why not take the same example? So we simply take this example, and once we click on computer science and engineering discipline, we have all the programs that are offered under it. You can see there are multiple programs, computer science, engineering, BTech, CSC, that is very normal, right? And all the industry collaborative programs, work integrated, industry, 2+2, that is 2 years here and 2 years outside the foreign. So you can actually choose whichever, course you want to enroll in. Now, I will be just simply giving you an idea how you can just take admission here in simple BTech CSC. So in whichever course you want to take, you simply just click that particular course, and there are all the details of that course that you want to know. First thing first is the duration of the course is 4 years and 8 semesters again. Now the program highlight will be giving you the eligibility criteria, whether you are eligible for this particular course or not. You will be knowing from here. So here it shows that 60% aggregate marks in 10+2 with physics, mathematics, and English should have been your subjects in your 12th grade. And apart from that, you need to either have JEE Mains, LPU Nest, or CUET. Basically, LPU Nest exam is very mandatory here, so you need to fill in those exam. So now I will be telling you how you can, fill in that exam and the course, of course, but in a moment. Now, before I move on to fee part, we have highlights. So highlight is something I think everyone is more interested in to know what all placements, what all research, what all student achievements, have been done in that particular course. So you can just check it on the highlight. Now the rankings, there are, rankings of that particular course of the university. So you can just check that we have been ranked what in your favorite course. Now I move on to fee structure. So once I move to fee structure, you can see that we have 1,20,000 per semester as our regular fee. But again, this is not something that our students pay. Why? Because they get a lot of scholarships. And these are the basis of the scholarship. And based on this, you can avail up to 28% of the scholarship. So you need to explore in which, category you fall in and avail that particular scholarship. Now is the simple important date of the application is 10th June. Students, is the last date of admission is 10th June. So I would like to request everyone kindly, apply for the course, because after that you might not able to get your favorite course or favorite subject. Now is the one thing that how you can apply to a particular course is here. You simply click on apply now option, your name, gender, some bare minimum requirements, and you click on submit, and you'll be given your dashboard after that. Once you're given your dashboard there, you can simply apply. Now, last but not the least are the numbers of our university. You can take either screenshot of them or maybe, write it down somewhere. These are the numbers, you call on them, or you can just simply click on the link that I've given in the webinar. You can call on these numbers and our counselors will be here to provide the assistance. So I hope that I've given you all the details as to how you can take admission in your particular course and what all you need to do. And if I could not address anything, you simply can call, our counselors will be here. So with this, ma'am, I would like to take leave, of course, from all the attendees and you. And I would like to thank you for joining in, for coming in, for crediting your time. And I like to thank all the participants as well for coming in. And the questions they've sent to us are really, really appreciated. So until next webinar, stay safe and stay healthy. And thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, ma'am.
Also, sorry, just last one thing I would want to tell. If you have skipped any of this part of the webinar, it will be uploaded on YouTube and our site as well. That is a webinar page. So you can check it from there also. So now finally signing off from the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.